Welcome back to Four Wolves Takes for your boy. Artis Woods will bring you four fresh Minnesota Timberwolves takes. What's up, y'all? What's going on? It's been a while. It's been a little minute, but I'm happy to be back in front of you all today to start the off-season edition of Four Wolves Takes, where all of the takes are obviously about the offseason. It is officially here. The NBA Finals has come and gone. Shout out to the Boston Celtics. They added banner 18 to the rafters, or they're in the process. They're getting ready to. I'm not too happy to say it, but, whatever. They're getting ready to add banner 18 to the rafters. Shout out to the Celtics. They earned it. They played like the best team in the league all season long. They got to the playoffs. They continued it. Shout out to the Dallas Mavericks as well, y'all. Yes, they took out the Minnesota Timberwolves. And for me, it was tough, man. They looked like a completely different team in the finals than they were in the Western Conference Finals. It seemed like in the Western Conference Finals, Kyrie and Luka Doncic, they couldn't miss. It seemed like they could get every alley at the rim that they wanted. It seemed like Derrick Jones Jr. couldn't miss. PJ was hitting shots here and there. Then in the finals, it's like none of that was there. Kyrie Irving wasn't the same player. Luka Doncic was frustrating. PJ Washington was non-existent. Derrick Jones was hit or miss. I'm like, where was this Mavs team last round? But, hey, you got to credit Boston as well for that. Their defense was crazy. It seemed like their defense was a little bit more physical than the Wolves. Maybe conversation for another day. But nevertheless, shout out to both teams. The finals has come and gone. And now, like I said, we're off to the offseason, man. The Wolves have some important decisions to make. And I'm not going to lie. So far, what I have heard, I don't really like. And I would not be me if I didn't give y'all the real. Tell y'all how I really feel. Again, if you've been watching for as long as this has been going, I'm not here for the hot take. I'm here for the real take. I only can give you the real. And I have not liked what I've heard, man. Let's get to the first take of the day, because I've heard this from a number of different sources. Shout out to Doogie, who has been all over this, saying that from every source that he knows, from everywhere he's checked, doesn't seem like the Wolves are going to trade anyone, really. They're going to bring the same team back for the most part and run it back. Now, I'm not here to disagree with the reporting of the great Doogie. I'm not here to do that at all. I'm not. But what I am here to say is, if that's the plan, I don't like it. First take of the day, the Wolves should not run it back. I don't think the Wolves should run this back. I think the Wolves, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I think the Wolves need to go out and get another playmaking guard, whether it be a shooting guard, whether it be a point guard, another playmaking guard that would take some of the perimeter pressure off Anthony Edwards. I am sticking to this. I know a lot of this, a lot of the talk now, it's not going to happen, so drop it. No, I am not dropping this. I think this is what they need. When you look at the Western Conference, it is hard to get to the Western Conference Finals. We would know because it's been so long since the Wolves did what they just did, right? You look at the Western Conference, it's going to continue to be competitive, right? OKC just made a move for Alex Caruso. That defense is going to improve. Their backcourt will be a little bit better. The Denver Nuggets, I don't believe are going to go anywhere. They probably make some minor adjustments here and there, but they have Jokic and they have Jamal Murray, right? Jokic might not be a guard, but he's a playmaker, right? So he's a guy that, takes pressure off Jamal Murray, and the same thing vice versa, right? The Clippers, they're a wild card. If they're healthy, they're one team. If they're not healthy, that's another conversation for another day. Paul George may or may not be on the move. Who knows? When it comes to the Clippers, I think the Dallas Mavericks will be back. I think they'll add some pieces here and there. I don't think they're going to revamp the whole roster, but I think they'll look to improve their roster, right? The Phoenix Suns, I think, will have a better supporting cast this offseason. or add pieces to make a better supporting cast. This past season, it was really Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal or bust. I think they realized that formula obviously did not work and they need more around those star players. So I think they'll be built better. The Lakers, wild card, just got a new head coach in JJ Redick. I think they might make a move for Trae Young. If they do and they're able to hold on to LeBron and Anthony Davis and some of the role players that they have, I think they'll be a team that'll be reckoned with as well next year. And then you have the up-and-coming Pelicans. I look at the West as a conference that you got to stay in front of. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. When you look at some of the best teams in the league right now, some of the best teams in the league have some of the best backcourts in the league, or at least two guards, or it might be a small forward and a shooting guard that can take the pressure, off of each other or take the pressure off of the point guard, right? Get some of these guys to play a little bit of off-ball basketball. Tatum, Jaylen Brown had the luxury of Jrue Holiday, right? I just brought up the Denver Nuggets. They have the luxury, Jamal Murray and Jokic, where they can play off of each other. I think Anthony Edwards, he needs that on the perimeter. Obviously, Luka and Kyrie, I just think they really need that on the perimeter going forward. DeJounte Murray is the piece. I know people are tired of hearing me saying it or say it. I've been saying this now since I started working here. I think DeJounte Murray is the piece. I am moving what I need to move to get DeJounte Murray in the building and pair him with Anthony Edwards, a guy who is a streaky shooter, can close basketball games because we all know the Wolves struggle with closing. He's can hit shots down the stretch, can shot create, obviously, pass the basketball. He can defend. He has the length, the athleticism. He has the youth. And both Trae Young and DeJounte are guys that the Hawks seem to be looking to trade. I'm in that mix, y'all. I'm telling y'all, that's how I see it. That is how I see it. Whether you'd have to maybe move off Cat or move off of I don't know. But I'm saying DeJounte Murray is the piece I am looking to go get. And as long as the price is not too high, if I could hold on to Cat and give up something else, maybe some draft picks and another player or two, I'm doing that, right? Obviously, if you can hold on to Cat, that would be great. But that's the piece I'm looking to get. That will fill an obvious void in this offense. I think at times even in this defense for the Wolves. And I think you're right back in the mix as far as coming out of the Western Conference. I do not think the Wolves should run this team back. I think they need to make some changes. Take number 2 on the day. We're inching up on the NBA draft. The first take talked about how I believe the Wolves don't need to run it back. But if the reports are true, which I'm sure they are, and they decide they want to run it back, and they decide to hold on to their draft pick, the guy I'm looking at the Wolves would be Tyler Kolek. Now, different names, Terrence Shannon Jr., very good player. KJ Simpson, very solid player. But I'm just a big fan of Tyler Kolek. He can shoot the ball from the perimeter at a high level. He was one of the best players on a very good Marquette team, the best player on a very good Marquette team this past season and really the season before. I just want to make sure these percentages are accurate. 46, about 50. Again, we round up for players that might beat some Bulls, right? So 50% from the field. The man just last season shot 39% from 3. 15 points a game. 8 assists, 5 rebounds. Very good free throw shooter, too, shooting 85%. The year before that, 3-point percentage was even higher, 40% from the 3. And he averaged about 13 points a game with 7 assists. 8 assists if you round up. So I think he's the perfect piece. Well, let me rephrase, because I don't think Tyler Kolek is a franchise-changing piece the way like DeJounte Murray could be for the Wolves. But I think he'd be a really good rotational piece for the Wolves. Somebody who would come in, hit shots from the perimeter, a guy that's not afraid to get to the basket, a guy that's not afraid to go to the line, can be a scrappy defender at times, and a guy that could potentially take the ball out of Anthony Edwards' hands at times. A guy that you could trust with the offense. That is what I'm looking for the Wolves to do. If they keep their draft pick, that's the guy I'm targeting. Now, I'm not crapping on any other guys I just mentioned. But if there was a player I would want the Wolves to draft, it will be Kolek. It will be Kolek. Take number 3 on the day. I think you got to target shooters in free agency. Now, yes, I know the Wolves do not have a lot of money to work with. I'm well aware. So really, you might only be able to get 1, 2, and on some veteran minimums. So I have, maybe you can get a guy like Eric Gordon in the building, right? He can shoot the ball very well from the outside, a pretty solid, vet player. Jay Crowder kind of had a down season this past season as far as shooting the basketball, but can still be very effective shooting the 3-ball, right? Malik Beasley, another guy I'd be looking at, right? Does he want to come back and, play basketball for the Wolves? I do think Minnesota may be a destination for some players that want to play with Anthony Edwards. I know he's a guy that a lot of players are fond of. So maybe you can get some of these vets to come on a discount. Hey, man, we just, 1 year, 2 year, maybe, you know what I mean? To come in and just shoot the ball. There were so many times in this past postseason where I looked at the Wolves and was just like, man, if they just had a consistent shooter outside of Karl Anthony Towns that, can space the defense out, right? Somebody that could consistently hit those 3-point shots. I think it will open up the floor for everyone. Jaden, for, Conley at times, for Anthony Edwards. But as the playoffs went on, especially in the Mavs series, it just seemed like nobody could hit shots from the outside. And, teams are able to, pack the paint. The Mavs are able to pack the paint. I believe most notably, I want to say it was game 2 where the Timberwolves got like 3 offensive fouls because they were barreling into the paint trying to get layups because they couldn't hit shots from the outside. I think if you get one of these guys in the building, maybe possibly 2 of these guys in the building, that could help change things. Again, nothing crazy. I'm not saying go and get prime Ray Allen or anybody like that. I'm just saying, look, these are some veteran pieces that I think could help your ball club, win games in the regular season and in the playoffs. All of these guys are vets too and solid leaders. So been with some solid organizations, made some runs. So, Beasley, maybe not, but you get the point, right? Get some shooters in the building. Get at least one other reliable shooter in the building if you decide you want to keep this roster the exact same. And the last take of the day, Team USA. Oh, I cannot wait to see Anthony Edwards with the Team USA jersey on, balling with the likes of LeBron, Devin Booker, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Tyrese Halliburton, Jrue Holiday, who just won a championship, Kawhi, Jason Tatum, another guy, again, who just won a championship from the Boston Celtics. This is going to help his game grow. Anthony Edwards, I think some people forget, not all, not most, but some people forget the man is still very young. He has a lot of things to learn when it comes to the game of basketball from a veteran superstar standpoint. You can't tell me LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, right? These veteran ball players, veteran superstar ball players cannot help Anthony Edwards' game. There's a number of different things that I personally would want Anthony Edwards to improve on this offseason. One, I would want him to be a bit of a better off-ball player. Again, if you can get a guard in here, DeJounte Murray, or maybe Kolik or whoever, right? If you can get a guard in here that can take the ball out of his hands at times so that he can come up court and get to his spots on the floor, maybe come off screens and get easier buckets, it translates in the regular season and extremely well in the playoffs. Another thing I really want Anthony Edwards to improve on is dealing with double teams. I think at times in the playoffs, he did really well. There were times where he just became a little too passive dealing with double teams. And I understand you trust your teammates, you give your teammates opportunities to make shots. It's big. But there are times where, heck, my teammates don't have it going. I'm not going to allow this double team to completely take me out of the game, right? I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to attack before the double team gets there. I'm going to split as a double team is, especially if it's not an aggressive double team, I'm going to split. I'm going to shoot over the top. I'm going to, I just think that at times he let double teams kind of take him out of the game and out of rhythm. And I think that this is something Steph Curry has dealt with. LeBron James has dealt with, Devin Booker has dealt with, Kevin Durant. They've all dealt with these type of things, and they'll be able to kind of coach him through these things, right? So that's something that I want him to work on as well. Last thing, finding his spots on the floor. He alluded to this before, and I think that it is important. When you think of superstar players in the league, most of them, superstar veterans, I would say, most of them, they know where they want to go before they even dribble the basketball. They know exactly a lot of times they don't bring the ball up in some cases. They get to the spot that they want to go, Steph Curry, he'll go maybe baseline or left, right wing, and he'll wait for a screen to come, run off the screen, come shoot a three-pointer, right? He'll bring the ball up too here and there too as well, LeBron, same thing. He'll, every now and then, obviously he'll bring the ball up because he's kind of like a point forward. He'll bring the ball up, but there are times where he'll go down to the low block and just ask for it on a low block and, hey, let me survey the defense and see if I can make the right pass, get to my right hand, get to a layup, maybe a little step back three, a step back mid-range, whatever the case may be, right? That's something that he likes to go to. Kevin Durant, great example of a guy who rarely brings the ball up, but is down in the paint, literally runs straight to the baseline area, straight to the low block, and is in that territory for most of the possession until a screen comes his way or until he gets the ball and is looking for a turnaround fade or to attack the basket one way or another. He's the mid-range killer, all right? And that's where he's going to feast most of the time. And so these players could help with all of these different things I'm mentioning that I think would help take Anthony Edwards' game to the next level. At the very least, man, look at how these guys work out. Look at how these guys train. Look at how hard these guys work. Obviously, Anthony Edwards is a professional ball player and he works hard, but it's another thing to see guys at that level who have won championships really pushing themselves to the absolute limit, right? I think about a guy like Dwayne Wade. Let me get the numbers up for D-Wade real quick. Because a guy like D-Wade came to the Redeem team, 6-man off the bench, and may have been the best player on the team, right? He learned a ton from LeBron at that time, a ton from Kobe Bryant at that time, and a lot of other players on that basketball team. One story I always hold on to as a diehard Kobe Bryant fan, a story I hold on to is when he talked about, Kobe Bryant and how hard he worked and how he will be up before everybody, working out in a full sweat before everybody comes to practice. Guys may be going out, partying, whatever the case may be, having a good time, and Kobe's working out. And then after a while, him and LeBron started to get up at the same time. Like, yo, why he's in a sweat, drenched before we even get to the gym, right? I want to be a part of that. Let me go do what he does. So they go do the same thing as Kobe Bryant. And before you know it, the whole team is following Kobe Bryant's, workout routine, getting up at the same time as him. And it helped them all as individual players, as well as obviously Team USA. I can see Anthony Edwards getting the same type of thing from the players he's getting ready to play with. These are champions. And one thing he talked about is like, hey, we never been this far. Now we know how hard we got to train. Well, what better way to enforce that than being around other champions that could, again, show you, you got to work this hard to get to this level. So I think that's going to be huge for Anthony Edwards on a multitude of different levels. Obviously, if the Wolves want to continue to compete for a championship, if they want to, get beyond the Western Conference Finals next year, he has to continue to grow and develop his game. But I think, again, Team USA, I think that's going to help out with that a ton. I'm truly looking forward. I'm looking forward to seeing if he starts. I think that's going to be big for the morale, for the confidence. I think that's going to be huge for Anthony Edwards. That is all I have for y'all today on today's episode of Four Wolves Takes. Again, man, it is a pleasure to be back. I have a ton of offseason content to get to you guys, a ton of ideas. I'm here through the draft. I'm here through free agency. I'm here for it all, man. Not going anywhere. Shout out to my managers for giving me the okay to continue to push forward. But until next time, I will catch you all on the next episode of Four Wolves Takes.